Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we have something a little bit different. Today we are going to be playing Echoes, which is a murder mystery visual novel. Full disclosure, I have received a key for this content, so thank you very much to Player 2 for gifting me a copy of this game. Just so you're aware, as I mentioned, this is a murder mystery themed visual novel, and there are difficult topics or themes throughout this novel, so just make sure you look after yourself. But without further ado, let's dive straight in and let's see if we can spot any of these Eldritch horrors that I've heard so much about. Okay. So here we are. Let's go. I write these last lines before I lose my mind for good. I cannot allow the truth to die with me. I have to remember. I am Inspector Ricky Fox. Arthur Petrovsky, his death, it was no suicide. And that's just one small detail of this case. The others, I can feel them closing in. I don't have much time before they... The blood. My memory is clouded, but I have to remember. It all began 6 months ago. I was happy. I'd just been promoted to the rank of detective in a quiet neighbourhood. I was married to a wonderful woman, Jodie. We decided to start a family. Chris, my son, are you safe? And then the news struck us like a slug in the jaw. Our best friend, Arthur, was dead. Jodie was inconsolable. Our ties with him had been pretty stretched since he'd moved to the other end of the country, but still, we couldn't accept the results of the inquiry. Suicide? It was so out of character. On June 30th, we received his ashes, with no explanation. Apparently, Jodie and I had been listed with the insurance as his only emergency contacts. I had tried to find more through the internal police files. I ignored protocol and even asked my colleagues for a few favours. Nothing checked out. The investigation had been led by a team from the Bureau and they'd locked everything down. Something about the case smelled wrong. What would the feds have to do with the death of a small town doctor in the middle of nowhere? In a last-ditch effort, I picked up the phone and called Arthur's local police station. I got the sheriff, Gianna Walter. She wasn't thrilled with the idea, but she finally agreed to let me take a look at the file. Even though it was no way official, I fully intended to seize the opportunity and do my own investigating. I took some leave and jumped into my car. If only I'd known what was there, waiting for me. Echoes, Episode 1. Greenhearth. Arthur had lived in Greenhearth, a small town at the other end of the country, sandwiched between two nature reserves. It might have been a backwater, but the surroundings were magnificent. Great forests of pine and oak clung to the sides of the mountains that overhung the valley. The town was accessible by a single road that bypassed the reservoir dam, which provided the region's power, before winding down to join the main street. It didn't take me long to find the precinct. A few minutes later, I was stepping through the door. Gianna Walter was a frosty woman who didn't like a job poorly done. The first thing I'd noticed as I approached her desk was her arctic blue eyes that were staring at me with disturbing intensity. Ooh. Detective Fox, I presume. I'm Sheriff Gianna Walter. Good to meet you. You too. Dr. Petrovsky and I were very close. His death, especially in these circumstances, was a big shock to my wife and me. As for the inquiry... Look, Detective, I understand you're grieving for your friend, but I assure you everything was done by the book. You can see for yourself. Really? Weren't you surprised that the Bureau was looking into this case? Yes, the Bureau took the case seriously. One more reason to trust their conclusions, don't you agree? In theory, this kind of incident was dealt with by the local police, except in exceptional cases. I was pretty sure the sheriff was aware of that, which led to me believe that she wasn't going to be very cooperative. I predicted that she'd let me take a glance at the file and nothing more. Well, anyway, I guess you're pretty tired from your journey. I took the liberty of booking you a room at the Golden Sky. Maybe you'd like to get some rest before you get started? Ooh. I don't feel like this character would want to take some rest, but in this situation, being amenable might work better. And plus we get to have a look around. Yes. That's a great idea, thanks. I can see you've thought of everything. I always do. I'll drop by later. Oh, I'll drop by and see you later. You know where to find me. She turned away, cutting off the conversation. There was nothing left for me to do except find the hotel's address. I could always come back later to look at the file and ask her a few questions. Located on the lakeside, the Golden Sky was a plush, lodge-style building. Jodie, I would have loved to have taken you to a place like that. The summer season had begun, but the hotel was still almost empty. Strange. I'd hardly gotten through the door when I was warmly welcomed by a plump man cheerfully trotting down the stairs. Ernest Bull, the hotel manager. I recall his smile. Hello, and welcome to the Golden Sky. Detective Fox, I presume? Glad to have you here. Good to meet you. I see you're well informed. Oh, you know, news gets around fast our little town. You can leave your bags here. I'll have them taken up to your room. Great. Can I do anything else for you? Investigate. Well, while we're here, let's talk to Ernest. Ah, Detective Fox, what can I do for you? Investigate. Oh, does that not... Question Gianna. Okay, so we've gone back to the police station. So... Can you tell me more about the circumstances surrounding the death? He was found in his bathtub, bled dry. Doesn't sound like the Arthur I knew, considering the circumstances the case should have been dealt with by local police. Yeah, I'm gonna go with that one. Are you sure you don't know why the feds came in? We're both cops here. I can't believe you haven't got a theory. Gianna Walters sighed. I moved close to his desk, sure she was about to tell me something crucial. Arthur took care of some special patients. That's why a team from the Bureau was dispatched. What do you mean special? I'm sorry, I can't tell you more. The sheriff pulled herself together. There was no point in rushing her. She wasn't ready to spill the beans just yet. I see. One last thing. Who found the body? I did. You? What were you doing in his home? When he didn't show up at his practice, I decided to go to his apartment. That's how I found him. What was your relationship with the doctor? He was the town doctor. He had a lot of patients with serious psychological problems, some of them potentially dangerous. Sometimes he'd ask me to step in. Was he liked? Relationship was professional? So your relationship was exclusively professional? The sheriff hesitated for a moment. Did that mean anything? We had an excellent relationship, yes. I see. It wasn't just professional though, was it? I'd like to see the case file. Of course, however I should warn you there's not much to see. What does that mean? Most of the documents, like the autopsy report for example, were requisitioned by the feds. Come on, I'll show you the few pieces they left behind. During your adventure, Ricky will have to search for clues in some scenes. A radar will appear on the screen to help you discover clues. You can leave certain scenes by pressing the back button, I'm assuming that is. Okay. Oh, this one here. That's fine. Ooh, a clue. Arthur's phone. His last call was to Ernest Bull, the hotel manager. I knew there was something to Ernest. For that matter, the man may have been the last person Arthur spoke to before he died. The rest of the device's memory has been erased. Arthur must have made the call after he deleted everything. It wasn't much, but it was still a lead to chase up. And then Arthur's notebook. It might contain medical secrets, but Arthur had been careful and conscientious. But I did not say that word right. No names appeared, only initials. Apparently, Arthur's patients mainly suffered from psychiatric problems. The most recent entry concerned an OM. Doesn't fit the initials of anybody we've met so far. And it was dated the day of his death. Just underneath, about half a page of a nervous scrawl, Arthur has added, the chimes ring out without a sound. They cast a strange tale in my head. I will become consumed by the echoes of their song. I didn't know what to think about all of that. Everything seemed to suggest that Arthur had lost his marbles at the end of his life, which made the suicide theory credible. It all seemed pretty fishy to me. The Arthur I knew had no history of mental illness. Arthur, what kind of scrape did you get yourself into? Ooh, oh, I missed one. I double-clicked. Oh no, sorry. That was all that was in the box. Oops. I had one of those moments where, you know, like your fingers spasms for a second and double-clicked. Okay, so what can they tell me about Ernest Bull? He's the manager of the Hotel K. The phone records show that that was the last call Arthur made was to him. I know, as you may guess, the lead took us nowhere. Bull's a busybody and a mischief maker. I'm not surprised he was meddling in Petrovsky's business, seeing how he meddles in everybody's business. Okay. I'm going to ask him about it. You know where to find him. That is fine. Have you got any leads? You know the case. I'm guessing you might have a lead or two. A lead? The file's been classified, so no, I don't have any leads for you, detective. You must have heard from some of the witnesses during the inquiry, before the bureau guys took over, didn't you? She sighed. You could try talking to Raymond. He's one of the people I questioned after the death. Raymond? Just Raymond? Raymond Kowalski. Very few people know his last name. He's a vagrant? Okay. Do you know where I can find him? He spends his days hanging around the diner in town, the Greenhearth Diner. I don't think you'll have very much trouble finding him. Great. That'll give me a chance to grab a coffee. Although, can I ask you why you think this Raymond is a person of interest? During the initial inquiry, several witnesses reported that Arthur had been spending a lot of time with him in the final days before his death. Obviously, he's been interviewed several times during the investigation, first by me, then the investigators from the Bureau, but there was nothing conclusive. Raymond's extremely paranoid, and that's without taking into the account his mistrust of the forces of law and order. Of course, you can try talking to him, but I don't think you'll have any more success than we did. I'm still gonna give it a try, you never know. You're probably wasting your time, but that is up to you, detective. Okay, so let's go to Ernest next. Detective Fox, what can I do to you? The call made on Arthur's phone. I'm investigating the doctor's death, and it would seem that you're the last person he called from his cell phone. What did he say to you? Look, I won't deny he called me, but it was a private conversation. I'd like it to stay that way. Come on, you can trust me. My lips are sealed. You sound shifty, Ricky. Will hesitated a few seconds, weighing up the pros and cons, and then he finally said, I hope you can keep this to yourself. Silent as the grave, you have my word. Alright, I just don't want this kind of thing to get around. He wanted to book a room for him and a young woman, but they never showed up. I guess you can understand why I didn't want to talk about it. I don't want to tarnish the good doctor's memory. Do you know who he planned to share the room with? That's simple. He asked me to show her up to the room if she arrived before she did. I guess he wanted to keep their little meeting quiet, if you know what I mean. I see. And this young woman, I'm guessing you know her? Will waved me closer before murmuring quietly. It was Liz Cole. She's a waitress at the family diner. Thanks, okay. Let's go to the diner then. The little downtown diner was an archetypal meeting spot, the kind of place where you could find reasonably priced home cooking or grab a coffee before work. Most of the townfolk probably came and ate here pretty often, which made it the perfect spot to ask a few questions. As soon as I was through the door, I felt the eyes of some of the regulars measuring me up. I decided to ignore them and took a seat by the window. I'd hardly sat down when a pretty but dejected young woman came over to pour me some coffee. The badge on her chest displayed her name, Liz. Good morning, sir. Welcome to Greenhearth Diner. Can I get you something? The house special is blueberry pie. That sounds delicious, love. I'm looking for a guy named Raymond. Do you know where I can find him? Oh, he comes in here a lot. I gave him coffee, even if the boss told me not to. She gives a small nod towards a man on the other side of the room. You got lucky, he just arrived. Thanks, Liz. I'll go talk to him. I want to go to her after. She's just being nice. Talk to her in a minute. Raymond looked plain at first glance, but when you talked to him, you quickly realised that something about him wasn't quite right. He reminded me of certain people I'd questioned during my career. The kind of person who had it all at one point in their life, before circumstances converged to cast them into the gutter. In any case, he was obviously nervous. What do you want from me? Just to ask a few questions. Questions about what, kid? About the death of Arthur? He was killed by suicide. You got a problem with that? Yes, that's why I'm here. Give it up, man. Nothing good will ever come of poking around in that. I was told you were close, you and Arthur. I'd just like to hear your version of the facts. What's that got to do with you? He was my best friend. I just want to know what happened to him. And you're asking old Raymond, the guy who stinks of booze and who everybody wants to see the back of? Something tells me Arthur didn't feel that way about you. Am I wrong? Ha, that's a good joke. He was your best buddy and you don't know anything about him? He ditched me, just like the others, all of them traitors, all traitors in this shitty town. Raymond heaved a long sigh before taking a mouthful of coffee. Okay, you're the cops, but you're not from around here, right? Yes, but... no buts. It's all over for me, but maybe you'll get somewhere. So I'm going to throw you a bone here. Perhaps that way you'll get off my back. I'm sure there's stuff hidden in Arthur's place. I'd like to have a scoop around myself before everybody's watching me. So if I moved as much as a muscle, they'd be down on me like a ton of bricks. And old Raymond doesn't want to end up in the can, if you catch my meaning. I guess the sheriff didn't give you the address. He scrawled it down on a napkin and slid it across to me, glancing out the corner of his eyes as if we were being watched. Thanks. Don't thank me. Nothing good'll come out of scratching around in this steaming heap of shit. Okay, so we're gonna go question Liz. Another coffee, sir? Did you have a relationship with Arthur? I've heard some information that suggests that your relationship with the doctor was more than a casual friendship. Can you tell me more? You're making a mistake. People are mean. That's nothing but dirty gossip. It's disgusting how people could think such things about the doctor. Are you sure there's no reason why people would say that? I was one of his patients. That's why there were rumours. Arthur was always kind to me, but he was just my doctor, and he's gone. It's just impossible that he... I'm sorry. Can we talk about something else? Something that... Thinking about it makes me sad. I don't want to harm her. Yeah, I don't want to harm her. Poor Liz. She seems so lost. I had no idea just how lost she was. Another coffee, sir? Okay, so we've done everything with them. I think the next step is going to be Arthur's apartment. Kitty! Oh. Arthur's apartment was in a well-located building in the town centre. I mean, it's not looking in great condition, is it? I approached it discreetly, but contrary to what Raymond seemed to believe, the building didn't look like it was under surveillance. The police had taped the door, but it wasn't locked. I pushed it and found myself faced with total shambles. Kitty! Kitty cat! Arthur's old kitty. It's kept its distance and watched me. The sound of the little bell at its neck reminded me the last time I'd seen it. It hadn't really taken to me, but Jodie, it had been putty in her hands. I made a mental note that I'd take it home with me once the investigation was over. I'm sure Jodie would enjoy the company. Every time I tried to get close, the cat hightailed it. Okay, so what else is around here? Old CDs. There's a book on the floor. Cans, cereals, dirty dishes. Ooh, am I getting close? Is it this? A business card left by the manager of the Gold Sky. I'd been sure Bull was hiding something. A date and time for a meeting had been jotted down on the back of the card. He had some explaining to do. What had he and Arthur been up to? There were other clues to find for sure, but I decided to leave that task for later. Especially since the business card might help me loosen Ernest Bull's tongue. Okay, let's go back to Ernest. Talk about the business card found in Arthur's apartment. I found this business card in Arthur's apartment. There's a date for a meeting written on the back. Can you explain that to me? Bull's face, cheerful and friendly up until now, suddenly hardened. The reappearance of this clue seemed to heartily annoy him. Hey, come on, are you kidding me? I've already explained myself to the feds and I have to go over this again with you. You play me for a sucker. You're in no danger talking to me. I just want to understand what happened to my friend. Look, I promise I had nothing to do with Arthur's death. It's him who came to me with all this stuff about the bells. Bells? What's that supposed to mean? Arthur had become completely erratic. All I know is that he gave one to Raymond just before he died. It's him who you should be talking to. And you say this information brought you trouble? What kind of trouble? I tried to tell the team from the Bureau, but all I got was a warning. They'd made it clear to me that I'd better keep my mouth shut. I got the message loud and clear, and I don't want to talk about this business anymore. Alright, I'm going to talk to Raymond, but I hope you'll be more cooperative in the future. I've got nothing more to say, Detective. Bull, I'd figured he'd told me something important without realising the stuff about the bells. Maybe that's what I was missing to get Raymond talking. Up until then, the investigation had seen open shut. I didn't know just how wrong I was. Let's go talk to Raymond. When I got back to the diner, Raymond was gone. Faithful to her post, Liz came over to greet me. Hello again, Mr. Fox. What can I get you? You want another coffee? No, Liz, that's kind of you, but I'm looking for Raymond. Do you know where he is? I'm sorry, Mr. Fox. He left a while back. Do you know where I can find him? I'm sorry. I don't think he'll be here today. Back here today, sorry. Okay, thanks, Liz. You're welcome, Mr. Fox. Go to the hotel for the night. Okay, day 1. Raymond has vanished. It was late, and I only wanted one thing, a good night's sleep. I decided to leave the next part of my investigation for tomorrow. Resigned, I went to the hotel to rest and think. Clearly, there was something not quite right about this town. Arthur had been involved in something shady. I had tried to reach Jodie, but got the answer phone. In any case, I didn't have much to tell her. It was too soon to have a solid theory about what was going on in Greenhearth. The hotel was as comfortable as it had seemed, and I collapsed onto my bed. The morning sun seeped through the curtains into my room, illuminating the patterns carved into the hardwood panels. The understated luxury of the hotels almost made me forget the town's ominous nature. I was ready to investigate, to find out the truth about my friend's death. I felt invincible. What a fool. I should have left while there was still time. I should have gone back to my wife and forgotten this strange little backwater. The first thing I did that morning was go back to talk to Raymond. I needed to clear up this business about the bells. Unfortunately, he wasn't around. Was he avoiding me, or simply bad luck? Oh, hello, Mr. Fox. Liz hurried over and poured me some coffee. Would you like a piece of pie today, or maybe bacon and eggs? Eggs and pie? Eggs and pie. You know what, Liz? I'm going to take both. Okay, great, Mr. Fox. I get that for you right away. Hold on, have you seen Raymond today? No, he hasn't been into the diner this morning. Sorry. Anything else? No, that's all. Thanks, Liz. I'd hit the first snag of the day, and something told me it wouldn't be the last. The fact that Raymond wasn't here yet didn't tell me much. Had I been dealing with Arthur's killer? His behaviour and his attitude were certainly fishy, but it was still too soon for a working hypothesis. I had more work to do. I just wondered, just where should I start? I don't think we've got anything else to ask Liz, apart from bells. Ernest isn't going to tell us anything. Jana, we're going to go back to the apartment. Ooh, this is new. Kitty! Oh, Kitty's been fed, that's good. Arthur's apartment hadn't been miraculously tidied up since the day before, but I couldn't put off my search any longer. I knew what I had to do, even if the prospect didn't exactly delight me. I rolled up my sleeves and began foraging for clues. So, this one. A bottle of whiskey. Arthur had loved hard liquor. Me, I was more of a beer kind of guy. The odd thing was that I almost certain I hadn't seen this yesterday. Ah, I knew it. Had someone got here last night and left this bottle in full view? That sounds very fishy. Or maybe, was it a message for my benefit? Okay. kitty! This time I managed to catch the kitty. I took a good look at its bell and its collar. There was a number engraved inside. It had to be a clue, but I still need to figure out how to use it. Then the animal squirmed away to skulk, glowering under a cabinet. Too bad. I wouldn't be taking it back to the hotel with me this time. That said, the kitty looked pretty healthy. It must have found someone to feed it, as well as getting in and out of the apartment as it pleased. Cthulhu kitty? Eldritch kitten? That is my theory currently. So he's getting more kind of... Ooh, newspaper. A bill for auto repairs. Apparently somebody had tampered with the brakes on Arthur's car. Jeez. I have to pay a visit to the mechanic who fixed it. One Pedro Ferreira? I've probably said that surname wrong and I'm so sorry if I have. Ooh, another thing. A sketch of Arthur. This wasn't the work of a beginner. Maybe it was a gift from one of his patients? It was signed with initials O.M. There we go. Like the final entry in Arthur's notebook that the sheriff had let me take a look at the day before. So this O.M. was an artist. Probably an artist who was well known in town, judging by the quality of his work. Maybe they were a regular at the Green Hearth Diner. Miss Cole should be able to tell me. I was about to put down the sketch when a detail caught my eye. In Arthur's hands, quite inconspicuous, the artist had drawn a bell. When I got my hands on this mystery man, I would definitely have to ask him about that. I stopped my search after I figured I'd had a good look through this mess. I had a few questions for the persons of interest, as well as the mechanic. And someone told me the identity of O.M. wasn't going to remain a mystery for long. Okay, so let's go talk to Liz first. O.M. There's a lot of people coming through here. Would one of your customers be a painter by any chance? Oh, Mr. Morrison maybe? He's an artist. He often comes in here with his sketchbook. Oh really? Do you know his first name? Of course, it's Oscar. There we go. He's a strange man, but he's nice. Could you help me meet him? Oh, he often comes to the diner. You'll recognise him instantly. He wears a bowler hat. Thanks, Liz. Oscar Morrison. Okay. All I had to do was keep a lookout for a man in a bowler hat. Okay. Can I question Oscar? Ah, whoa. Oscar was a man from another era, and I was like, I know the 20s. This is amazing. This is so cool. Okay. His manners and his accent made me uncomfortable. He strutted like an English lord, despite his friendly demeanour. I could sense his disdain for me. And I now know that was just a cover. But when I met him for the first time, he was just a dandified old guy who gave himself airs. Greetings, Mr. Fox. Oscar Morrison. Delighted to finally make your acquaintance. Good to meet you too. Especially since I have had some trouble finding you, Mr. Morrison. To be perfectly honest, I was expecting you to come and speak to me much sooner. In fact, I was on the verge of coming to introduce myself. But it was far too much fun watching you trot around like a headless chicken from one end of the town to the other. I suppose you have some questions to ask me, do you? Go ahead. You were a patient of Arthur's, is that right? A rhetorical question, Detective. We both know the answer. And since you also know I was Arthur's last patient, let us turn to the facts, if you would. What have you got to say in your defence? In my defence? I have nothing to say in my defence, since I have been accused of nothing, surely. Allow me to remind you, Mr. Fox, that your investigation is in no way official. I see. In that case, could you tell me something a little bit more about your relationship with Arthur? I have nothing to tell you that is not covered by doctor-patient privilege. Mr. Fox, Arthur was a fine doctor. I mourn his passing. And now, if it's all the same to you, I must attend to my arrangements. I have a very busy day. As for you, I don't know. Surely you must have honest citizens to importune? Importune? Oh no, words again. It was going to be no walk in the park questioning Oscar Morrison. He was mixed up in this case, I was sure, but getting him to talk was going to take all my guile. Do you ever drink whiskey with Arthur? Yes, perhaps. Arthur enjoyed a scotch, as I do. Is that a crime? It's not a crime, but I did find a bottle of whiskey in Arthur's apartment. A bottle that wasn't there yesterday. Ooh. What's that? How does that concern me? Do you know that it's an offence punishable by law to enter a place sealed off by the police? Oh, don't say that, like, it ain't official. You're kicking yourself there, Ricky. Why go back to Arthur's apartment, Mr. Morrison? Did you have something on your conscience? No, You have no evidence for what you are suggesting. What now, Mr. Fox? Found a portrait of Arthur drawn by you? Yes, I am an artist. Honestly, must I do your investigation for you? You must have been close for him. You must have been close for him to let you sketch him. I was his patient, he was my doctor. I draw whenever I have a moment. I imagine I did his portrait during one of our sessions. I do hope that you'll excuse me if I don't recall every napkin I've doodled on, Mr. Fox. Still, there was something that caught my attention. Was it the quality of my line work? That's very kind of you, Mr. Fox, but I'm accustomed to compliments. You don't get in my good books by using flattery. No. I was thinking of the bells you drew in his hands. A bell? Really? I don't recall that detail. Oscar had stopped grandstanding. I needed to watch him like a hawk now. Where's that bell? The bell? That was a rhetorical question, Mr. Morrison. We both know. I know about the bells. I don't know now. Arthur gave me a bell, yes. The feds, perhaps? This time, I had him. Fine, you win. Yes, Arthur gave me a bell just before he died, like several of his friends. 5 bells, 10 numbers. Oh, the kitty had one! So, the kitty got a bell, Oscar got a bell, Raymond got a bell? Okay. What are the numbers for? I don't know, I swear. Arthur, he was hiding something dangerous. The bell's the key. That's all I know. And your bell? Where is it? I gave it back to Arthur. Go back to his place, you'll find it. Thank you, Mr. Morrison. Don't thank me, Mr. Fox. You have no idea what you're getting yourself into. I hope you'll remember that I tried to protect you when you're done stirring up this hornet's nest. I was sure I hadn't seen any bell in Arthur's apartment, but there was no harm in going back to check. Okay, so yeah, we're going to go back to the apartment then, I think. We've done Oscar. Ooh. Do we go to Pedro? I'm just going to check the other ones. Oh, hi detective, did you sleep well? The rooms at the Golden Sky are very nice. Thanks for booking me a room there. You're welcome. So tell me, how's your investigation going? Were you able to talk to Raymond? Was it enough to put your mind at ease? Seeing if there's like a bell in the background of this picture or all about it. That could be a bell. It's a bit too soon to start drawing conclusions, although I'd have liked to ask Raymond a few more questions, but I can't seem to get hold of him. I guess you've already stopped by the diner? That's where I started. Look, I can't say I'm surprised he's made himself scarce. I did warn you about his mistrust of the forces of order, didn't I? The old fellow has to spend his nights somewhere out in the cold and rain, right? Have you really got no idea where the popular spots for unhoused people are in your jurisdiction? Gianna sighed. I'll assume you don't know the town very well yet, Mr. Fox, or you wouldn't ask me that. The population of Greenhearth has decreased 4-fold over the last 50 years. If we add the area's rich industrial past, not much of what is left either, into the equation. Oh, not much of which is left either into the equation. You can imagine the amount of abandoned buildings an individual like Raymond could set up a home in. Saying that, he can't have gone far. What makes you say that? Since Arthur's death, the police station has been responsible for delivering his patients' prescriptions. The next delivery should arrive today. More about the medication. Why does Raymond have to go through you to get it? Arthur's patients need special doses. They can't be found in drugstores. Until a new doctor arrives, the lab sends them directly to me. Hold it, you mean to say that Arthur's patients are dangerous? Some pose a potential threat, especially since they're probably unsettled by Arthur's death. You shouldn't get this information from me. We already knew this. I expected as much. I'm sure we've already been told this. If you think that one of them is responsible for your friend's death, I'll stop you right there. Obviously that was the first lead we followed during the investigation. Look, Sheriff, I'm not knocking on the work of our colleagues at the Bureau. I'd just rather draw my own conclusions. I guess there's no chance of you being satisfied with what you've seen and heading off again today. No, sorry. I won't leave until I know what really happened to Arthur. Gianna Walter let out another of her trademark sighs. Fine. As long as you don't louse up my town, I'm prepared to tolerate your presence here. And if you want to make yourself useful, seeing as you're so determined to track down Raymond, drop by later and I'll give you his medication. That should help you bring him in. Thank you, Sheriff. Don't thank me yet. You'll see, it'll be no picnic. Until then, beat it. Any other leads? I don't want to see. I've already been kind and patient to put up with you. That's absolutely fine, love. 0 official status. Yeah, I completely get that. Let me remind you, I'm not here at your beck and call. I've got 3 people to see about an accident at the dam today. Go on, beat it. Come back when you got something solid. That's fine. Okay. So we've spoken to them. We've spoken to Oscar. We need to go back to the apartment. So let's just double check. We'll talk to Ernest. Was the room to your liking? And if is there anything I can do for your comfort? No, nothing with Ernest. Okay, let's just double check with Liz then. Nothing else with Liz. So we can go to the mechanic. There was nothing with Oscar. So I kind of want to go to the apartment first before. Oh, the bell. Oh, it's got an elephant on it. A bell in the shape of an elephant. I was sure it hadn't been there during my first visit. Such an outlandish object. Such an outlandish object would have got my attention immediately. So is this the true cause of that visit when Morrison had forgotten the bottle of whiskey? It had almost looked like he'd wanted to put me in some roundabout way onto this lead, which said a lot about the man's deviousness. Why had Morrison wanted to get rid of it? More importantly, why had Arthur been so obsessed with the bells before his death? There was nothing special about it. It was the kind of thing that you could pick up for a couple of dollars in any souvenir store. Has someone engraved numbers inside of it? Like the bell on the cat's collar? Something told me there was going to be an important clue. I just didn't realise how important yet. Okay, so let's go to the mechanic then. Oh, hello. This is Pedro. This Pedro clearly wasn't too smart. Aw. He was odd too, like the others. I was beginning to wonder if there was anyone normal in this town. Oh, I don't like Ricky. Hola, señor. Soy Pedro. Do you have a car for repair? I hoped he understood enough of the language to communicate. He's just It's just communicating with you, Ricky. I'm Detective Ricky Fox. I've got a few questions for you. Hi, senor. No hay problema for questions? My Spanish is terrible. Pedro have nothing to hide. Honest business here. That's fine. I'm sure it is. But I am not here about that. Tell me, did you repair Arthur's car recently? Do you remember? Ah, yes, I remember. Accident. That's rare here. Can you tell me more about the repairs? Nothing to say. I want no problems with La Policia. Don't worry. I don't involve the local police either. Arthur was my friend. I'm just trying to understand why he's dead. Entiendo? Problem with brake. Strange. Sabotage. You're telling me this was a criminal act? See, 3 other cars with a problem with brake last month. 3 other cars? Who else came with a brake problem? The man from the hotel, Ernest Bull, the sheriff, and an old man with the beard. Raymond? No, not Raymond. Raymond don't have car. I don't remember the name. Pedro had responded too quickly at the mention of Raymond. Maybe he knew more than what he was telling me. In any guess, I guess I should talk counterparts with the bull and the sheriff. Do you know Raymond? No, lo conozco. Pero es un cliente. A client? But you just told me Raymond's got no car. No, see. Come one day for problem with radio. I fix all things. Oh, brilliant. Raymond's always kind with me. Still, he seems to be avoiding me. Esteem him as a person of interest. Person of interest? I'm not certain he's not capable of the doctor's murder. Ooh, where'd the pipe come from? It's easy to blame everything on Raymond. Raymond's a good guy, maybe the only good guy in this whole damn town. He's been through a lot, and he's got a temper. Is that a crime? You've got it all wrong, Detective Fox. Raymond's not dangerous. He's in danger, that's why he's hiding. I was about to say, like, that suddenly didn't read as much broken English as what it started off to be. The mechanic's accent and way of talking has suddenly changed. Was this a cover he'd just broken? What makes you say that? Why would Roman be in Why would Raymond be in danger? Who wants to harm him? Raymond es mi amigo. He is kind with me. Come here for fix his radio. The moment after, he's once again unable to string these words together. Strange. Okay, so if we talk to the sheriff, good on you, and bring up the sabotage. I'm not really popular here. There's nothing to prove it had anything to do with the inquiry. Still, the mechanic mentioned that several people have had car troubles, or with brakes as well. A fact I was unaware of. Are you sure you've told me everything? With respect to your investigation, yes, I promise you. Come back here when you've got something solid, Mr. Fox. I could tell I was on thin ice. I wouldn't get any further by pushing her. Her reaction was still suspect. Was Gianna hiding something? Okay, so let's go talk to Ernest Bull now. Ooh, the bells. So we're going to mention the car accidents first. Have you had any problems with your vehicle recently, Mr. Bull? Oh. Now you see Now do you see why I'd rather you left me alone? You mentioned that you had a warning. Was that what you were referring to? Why didn't you tell me? You don't know what you're getting yourself into, Fox. Take my advice, go home and forget about this case. Or at least quit hassling me. I know you're still hiding something. I don't owe you a thing, Mr. Fox. I didn't say that. Help me out and I'll help you. I never give out information without something in return. I'm sorry you won't cooperate, but you'll tell me what you know in the end. I can wait. Time will tell. Bull was hard to read, but I was beginning to understand what drove him. He collected information like a philatelist collected stamps. I just needed something to trade. Talk about the bells. Look, Mr. Bull, cards on the table. I think you know Arthur gave out bells to his patients just before he died. Ah, Mr. Fox, you interest me. I'm all ears. Arthur's cat had one of his collar. There are numbers engraved inside. You're telling me nothing new, detective. You better do better than that. All right. Did you know that Oscar Morrison had one too? Ernest Bull seemed to sparkle suddenly. Oh, Ernest Bull's eyes seemed to sparkle suddenly. He'd finally taken the bait. I knew it. Do you know who else has one in their possession? His friend probably got one. Seemed logical, but I needed more. I figured I'd have to try a bluff. Come on, Mr. Bull, that's public knowledge. Considering Arthur's relationship with Raymond, I didn't need you to help me reach that conclusion. Liz Cole. Liz Cole's got one. I see. One last thing. Do you know what the engraved numbers are for? Quid pro quo, Mr. Fox. One piece of information for another. But since I'm feeling generous, let me give you a clue. What do you think a series of random numbers could be used for? A secret code? Bingo! So Arthur had hidden the secret around his death amongst his patients. I just had to go get a hold of the other bells to find out what this code was guarding. Child's play. Liz and Raymond had a bell. One of them vanished. I knew which of the patients I was going to question next. Okay, off to Liz we go. Ask to see her bell. I hear Arthur gave you a bell. Could you show it to me, please? It's a gift. I can't show you. It's mine. I need to see that bell, Miss Cole. It's important to my investigation, you see. I don't want to take it away from you. Just to look at it. There are numbers engraved on it. It's a crucial code. I'm sorry, Mr. Fox. That's my final memento of Arthur. I'm too scared they'll take that away too. Liz was almost in tears. On one hand, her reaction seemed completely irrational, but the other, I was certain I wouldn't get anywhere by insisting. I needed to find a way to convince her, but that could wait till later. I had just got a message from the sheriff. Raymond's medication had been delivered. Okay. So now we're going over to the sheriff. They've just delivered it. Would you mind if I give it to him? Gianna hesitated before holding out the box of pills. Good. Now all I have to do is let him know. Child's play. I warned you. But still, Raymond's got ears everywhere. I'm sure somebody in town would be delighted to tell him that you've got them. That's a good idea. I know, this isn't the first time I've had to run around after him to give him his meds. Okay, so how about if we go and talk to Pedro then, because he is a friend of Raymond. Can you tell me where Raymond's hiding? I've got his medication. No, danger. Raymond needs his medication. If he doesn't take it, he will really be in danger. Pedro was torn between his loyalty and the urgency of the situation. I could see in his face that my fears were well-founded. Raymond might not be a murderer, but without his prescription, he was in danger of becoming one. Ooh, Pedro's changed again. Okay. It's too late to go there today, but come back and see me tomorrow, and I'll take you to him. Once again, Pedro's attitude completely changed in the space of a few seconds. A moment later, he was himself again. Still, he didn't seem to be shamming. Had he been one of Arthur's patients too? Thanks, Pedro. I owe you one. Hey, no hay problema, Senor Fox. And then we'll go to the hotel for the night. was late and I decided to go back to the hotel. I was sure I was getting close to the truth, that soon I'd finally be able to shine a light on why my friend was dead. Big mistake. So, we're gonna leave that there today. I am intrigued. I am very intrigued. The main topic seems to be bells. The bells have a code in them. There's 5 of them, 10 numbers. The kitty's got a bell. We've just gotten Oscar's bell. We know that Raymond has a bell and Liz has a bell. I also think the hotel owner has one too. Just with them being very much like, you give me something and I'll give you something. I think that they've got one. Whether they were given one, I don't know, but I think they have one. So that's where my guess is. But if you have been enjoying this with me, please do let me know. Leave a comment down below and we can always continue. If you're new here, or maybe you've been here a little bit and you've not pressed that subscribe button, I'd really appreciate that too. Thank you all so much for being here, and I will see you all soon. Bye.